welcome to this edition of In-Depth Alaska. I'm Tracy Sinclair. Art Yulin is hoping to climb Mount Kilimanjaro for the fourth time and do it on his 90th birthday. Our digital content manager, Joey Kletka, spoke with Mr. Yulin about the adventure ahead, why he does it, and when is the best time to start planning for your old age. Here's an extended version of that conversation.
Where are you from right now?
Well, I live in Los Angeles, actually. I've been here for 75 years. So LA is home. We have a home in Utah as well. We have a home in Deer Valley at 7,000 feet. So I love hills.
That seems apparent according to what I've read. I mean, you consider yourself a climber?
I'm sorry, do I say again?
I said, do you consider yourself a climber?
No, it's funny. I considered myself a wimp all my life. That was sort of the name that I had given to myself, the classification. And a friend of ours, I retired early. I retired 25 years ago. And a friend of ours up in Park City said, I told him we were looking for adventure. My wife and I were traveling a lot. We've traveled to 83 countries since I retired. And he said, you want adventure? Why don't you climb Kilimanjaro? And I just laughed. I think, me climb Kilimanjaro? He's called Dean. Who's Dean? Well, Dean owns a trekking company. They're based here in Park City, and they go all around the world. He's been up Everest. Climb Kilimanjaro with him. So I called Dean, and Dean said, oh, sure, I can get you up. And he's now taken me up. This will be his third time. I went up with another crew and actually didn't make it to the summit. They ran us ragged. We were going too fast for someone my age. And so Dean is kind of my guide for life. I've climbed 3 mountains in South America with him. I've been on the Everest Base Camp Trail with him, which is it's not a climb at all. It's a trek. And this will be my third time on Kilimanjaro. And I trust the guy with my life.
And so explain what you're going to be doing next month on your 90th birthday.
Okay. On my 90th birthday, I'm going to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to hike up to the summit. We're going to start at around 18,000 feet, and we'll go to 19,341. And the reason for getting up at 2 a.m. in the morning is we will stop somewhere along the way and watch the sun rise above the clouds. And we'll be watching the clouds from 7,000 feet above the clouds. It's a breathtaking sight, and it's the only thing in the world I know of that's worth getting up for at 2 a.m. in the morning. People ask, well, how are you going to get up that mountain? And the answer is really simple. You put your left foot in front of your body, you put the right foot in front of the left foot, and you repeat it 55,000 times. That's it. That's it. We love to call it a climb because, it just sounds so mountain manish. But in fact, it's a trek. The overwhelming majority of the trip is uphill walk. Now it's at altitude, so it's difficult. There are a few places along the way where you reach some rocks that you have to climb over, but it is not a technical climb. It just sounds dramatic when you call it a climb.
Now, I was watching some videos others have done with you about why you're doing this, and then kind of like just doing it at again at an older age. You're 89, you're returning 90. And so if you could just explain the why behind this.
The why? In part because it's there, in part because it's here. But the two real reasons are, number one, I would like to encourage older people to start living up to their potential instead of the stereotype. You know the stereotype, old age, decline, can't do this, can't do that. And I think it's time to put that away because the problems that are attributed to old age, the decline, has nothing to do with age. It has to do with what I call self-neglect. If you're not willing to do the work and stay in shape and eat well and sleep well and avoid stress and stay active, physically active, you will decline. People who don't do strength training in their later years lose 1 to 2% of their muscle mass every 10 years. I'm sorry, every year. You lose 8 to 10% of your muscle mass. That's actually losing muscle. And in addition to that, you lose twice as much muscle strength. So in the course of 10 years, someone my age would lose 20% of their strength, puts you at serious risk for falls. And the reason you lose more muscle strength than muscle loss is because the muscle that remains loses quality. Well, why doom yourself to that kind of fate? I go to the doctor's office, I have a gerontologist, and I see people just struggling to get out of a chair. That's not age. They just haven't done the physical work. I climbed 50 flights of stairs 2 days ago. That's my training regimen. So I'm begging people to get off their duff and start being active, any kind of activity. And you start small, start with a single step, and just gradually increase it. There's another reason why I'm doing this, to be honest, and that's to find out who I am. You know, am I still that guy who can get up that mountain? I'd like to think so. I believe I am. And I won't be disappointed if I don't make it. I've turned around once because I was concerned about my safety at 17,000 feet. I wasn't feeling well, right back down the mountain. If I have to turn back this time, no shame. That's a sign of intelligence and wisdom to know when you got to walk away, right? So I'm doing it because it's an adventure, it's a test, and you can't fail this test. Starting up the mountain guarantees success. There's this trite saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's true. It's really true. Trust me. It is true. On the climb where I didn't make it to the summit, I was a hero to myself. Okay, I went. I tried it. So that's my message for folks out there. One other message, if I may. The right time to start is not when you're 70 or 80 or 90. It's not too late. But if you really want to enjoy the last 10 years of your life, you should start in your 30s and 40s, because that's when the aging process really begins. And the key question to ask yourself is, how do I want to spend the last 10 years of my life? In great health or in decline? I want to be in perfect health until the day I die. Day after I die, I want my friends saying, what did he die of? He looked great yesterday. So that's my message.
I love that message. I think that hopefully that's one that resonates with people. Tell me about, I'm just curious to know about your training regimen. And you mentioned 50 flights of stairs, but obviously you've made 2 previous attempts, like you said, up Kilimanjaro. And obviously altitude sickness gets a lot of people. So what are you doing to prepare yourself both for the trek and for the altitude?
Okay, for the trek, I started doing, I've been in the gym for a few years, but I started doing more intensive leg exercises. And I had to back off a little bit because my right hip just disintegrated. I had a hip replacement in September. So I'm going up with a new hip. But just gradually working on various leg machines, knee extensors, knee flexors, hip abductors, adductors, and stairs. I started with 10 flights of stairs about, 3, 4 months ago. I'm up to 50 now. I did 55 the other day. And on my next visit to the gym, the way I'm going to increase it, I get so bored doing stairs. I hate the stairs. I'm going to increase the load by putting on my boots instead of doing them in tennis shoes. My boots are very heavy. I may have to back off on the flights. That's fine. So that's the majority of my training regimen. I should point out that I still do upper body exercises. Because if you don't do them, yeah, I don't need them for the climb. But if I don't do them, I will lose muscle mass. And that's more serious than it sounds at my age.
What about, I mean, also the, just again, altitude, are you gonna like try to, what do you call it, acclimatize yourself
Okay.
in a way?
Well, the issue of altitude sickness is a really interesting one because some people are far more prone to it than others. And I have never had trouble, partly because I had just a phenomenal guide. I call him my guide for life. He owns the trekking company, Worldwide Trek, that I'm going with. And the one time he wasn't with me, they rushed me. And so I didn't feel well. I happen to otherwise be one of those people who's not extremely susceptible to altitude sickness. But we take two other precautions. Before I start, I take a drug called Diamox, which appears to enhance the acclimatization process. And the other thing is that on a couple of days, we will actually climb high and sleep low. So, for example, we'll climb from 15 to 17,000 feet, and then we'll go back to 16 to sleep. It kills me to do that because it means you got to climb those same sections over again, trek. But it's a safety issue, and this trek is all about safety. My previous climbs have been 9 days each. And this one is actually going to be 14 days. We're really giving ourselves a lot of time. My climbing guide has told me that he's in charge. And if he decides I should go back, I go back. If I say I want to go back, we turn around. But he's not going to take any chances with my health. And I love that. That's the way it should be.
Absolutely. So so you're gonna be spending 2 weeks on the mountain, it sounds like. What day do you actually fly out to Africa?
I'm flying out on the 28th. I'll get there in the evening of the 29th. I'm just going to camp out in a hotel for 2 days and walk. We'll do some walking. My guide has started an orphanage there. I'll go there and feed the kids. And what I'm trying to do is just erase some of the time gap. It's a 10-hour time difference. And then we'll start up on July 1st, and we're going slowly and trying to time it. We will time it so that I arrive on the 13th. So we'll actually be 13 days up and then 4 days down. It's a pretty good hike. Some people have trouble with the way down because it's hard on the knees. And so we're going slowly, and knock wood, I won't have trouble.
I'd like to know about just your history. Like, when did you start climbing? Like, what was the first mountain you climbed? And what age were you?
Well, the first climb was in 2011. That was on Kilimanjaro. We went back up again. My wife was with me. She's done it twice. Um, she believes in an active lifestyle now. I can't say her age, but she's 3 years younger than I am, and I'm 89. Okay. And she has two jobs. She's working two jobs now, part-time, but both jobs. So she went up the first two times with me. Um, we did the Everest Base Camp Trail, which is not a climb. It is a trek. It's from village to village to village. And we actually didn't make it to base camp. We made it to 12,000 feet instead of 15. We just ran out of time. That's fine. Then we went to South America, and I've climbed 3 mountains in South America, one of them with my wife. We have climbed Pequeño Alpamayo, we've climbed Xinca, and I went up a mountain called Cotopaxi with a grandchild. That was a climb. We were on a glacier, we were roped in, we had crampons and ice axes. Uh, that was a little nerve-wracking, and we got very close to the summit. We got over almost 18,000 feet, and then ran out of time. But that was a real adventure. Those pictures are pretty dramatic.
So is that I mean, obviously you mentioned 2011, but yeah, as far as the first time up Kilimanjaro, but as far as just as your life as a whole, I mean, have you spent a lot of your life climbing, or is it just in your later years?
No, no, I was the opposite of a climber. The one thing I did do was ski. I when I was 30 years old, my wife said, let's take the kids skiing. I said, no, no way. I don't want to ski. It's cold. And she said, okay. And she came back a few days later and she said, mark your calendar because I'm going to be gone with the kids skiing in Mammoth. What are you talking about? I said, I don't want to go. Oh, she said, you don't have to go. I'm going with the kids. I said, well, I want to come. And she said, it might be better if you didn't come. Why? She said, well, with your attitude, you'll spoil the trip. To me, she's a very independent lady. So to make a long story short, I fell in love with it. I was awkward. I was not good. I fell in love with it. We started taking lessons. We've been back every year since. We have a home now at a ski resort. My ski instructor is 80 years old and a phenomenal skier. And I've already purchased my season pass for next year. How's that for optimism, huh?
Is that at Mammoth, you said?
Pardon?
Sorry, which resort was that at?
I'm sorry, I'm missing that.
You said you purchased your season pass to where? Which resort?
Well, that's to Deer Valley. We have a home at Deer Valley, sits at 7,000 feet and just roll out the door and we're on a ski run. I can't wait. It's interesting because I bought a season pass for this season. And my kids told me, my kids, they're in their late 50s and 60s. They told me, no, you cannot go because if you're injured, you'll jeopardize the whole Kilimanjaro climb. That's not fair. And I said, wait a minute, I haven't fallen in 5 years. And they said, oh, we're not worried about you. We're worried about an out of control skier hitting you from behind, which happened to a friend of mine.
Just to clarify, like when you really started getting into not just climbing mountains, but just, I guess, hiking and trekking, this whole thing, like approximately what age were you when you really started doing that?
Well, the skiing started at age 30. The hiking started when I retired, so it would have been 62. I retired early. And we actually started with a bike ride in Vermont. Great trip, beautiful trip. Then we went and hiked on the Milford Track in New Zealand. Magnificent hike. No hills, no mountains. Um, and then we did some climbing on trails in Deer Valley and Park City, but uh, that's going from 7,000 to 9,200 feet. That's no big deal. That was just exercise. And then in 2011, that's when I could say we did our first real climb. And we ain't done yet.
Oh,
I just looked up Denali, 20,000 something feet, right? I'm just waiting for an invitation.
you're thinking about it.
Not for long. It's too cold up there.
Have you been up to Alaska and climbed anything up here or done any sort of treks up here?
No, no, I have not. But you've really opened my mind to the idea. So you will hear from me if I do get there. I promise.
That's great. I mean, if you come up here, we gotta set up we'll have to get up, follow you with cameras.
All right.
So,
You can't scare me away.
are you a doctor too, from what I understand?
Oh, yeah, I am an MD. I still have my license. I trained as an OBGYN and practiced actively for a dozen years. And then I sort of stumbled accidentally into television. Um, Kept working. I was teaching at USC, kept working for another 3, 4 years, and then it just got impossible to do both. And my boss at USC said, what you're doing on television is much more important than what you're doing here if you have to choose. He said, I would choose the public health education on television. And boy, he was a really fine man. And that's the path I did. I spent 21 years on Today.
That's what I noticed. I was looking it up, and so you kind of were on the Today Show every now and then, doing kind of explaining anytime there was a story involving something medical, from what I understand.
Well, I did that, but I was actually on a bit more regularly than that. They had me on 3 times a week. I was on the program 2,600 times. That's a lot. I flew, they wanted me to move to New York, and I refused. I had kids at home. New York City is not the kind of place I'm comfortable in. So I flew 6 million miles between LA and New York. And at the end, and I did a number of appearances using the satellite from Los Angeles. I'd go in at 3, 4 in the morning, and they said, no, 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 we want you here on the set. It's just different. And yeah, you know that. It's just better when you're on the set. So I said, okay, fine, I'll come on the set. And I would fly a red eye Sunday night, do the show Monday morning, be back at JFK and fly home at noon, and repeat that on Tuesday night and Thursday night. I look back on it now, it's just crazy. But that allowed me to be at home and on their set. And I enjoyed the process. I mean, let's be honest, it was wonderful work. What an opportunity. And I felt like I was doing something important. I was inspiring people to live healthy lifestyles. And now I get a chance to come back and do that. My focus now will be older people, but I do want to remind the folks who are listening, watching us now, the time to start is in your 30s and 40s. If you really want to spend the last 10 years of your life in good health, start early. Never too late to start, but start early.
Thanks for listening to this edition of In Depth Alaska. Please like and follow this podcast.